What's up, everybody? It's your favorite podcast. I'm your host, Trey, and as usual, hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful day. As you can see, I got a couple of guests today. We have Imhotep Jackson over here and Hekima Jackson. Guys, I'll let Tep. You want to go first?
Oh yeah, I'm Trey's cousin. Never played basketball, but I love basketball. So I have my own podcast, Ball Four Quarters. If y'all want to check that out, we're on iTunes too. But yeah, good. Glad to be here.
Appreciate you. All right, Hekima, how about yourself?
Yeah, man, it's nice to join the podcast today. I'm the older brother and the older cousin, so I'm just here to kind of balance things out. I played a little bit, so I'm here to bring a different perspective. So, I'm enjoying it, and I can't wait to be a part of the Get a Bucket podcast family.
I mean, I played a little bit. I ain't want to toot your own horn, so I was gonna let you tell your own story, champ. Give me a little bit about yourself. Give me a little bit about yourself. Where you play? Where'd you play? What division? Talk to them. Let
All
them
right,
know.
yeah, man.
High school did you go to?
Yeah, all right, man. I played at DeMatha High School. I also played at Oxon Hill High School with Mike Sweetney. We had a great bond. Like kind of like Penny and Shaq back in the late '90s. Went to the state championship. I had 30. He got a lot of buckets too. Of course, it's Mike Sweetney. So now I went to DeMatha, played with Keith Bogus and Joe Forte. We had a nice little run. I had a great game against Gonzaga High School. Hit the game winner there. That's like if you know DeMatha Gonzaga, that's our rival. So and then I went to Howard, played there for 4 years. Was captain my last year. Made MEAC Rookie of the Week once. What else? My career high is like 20 against Morgan State freshman year. Had a nice little career. Coached a little bit. Coached the National Christian Academy down in Oxon Hill. Coached Kevin Durant for a little bit before when he went to National Christian and was heading to Montrose.
Okay.
A little bit that summer. Worked with his brother a lot. Worked with a few other really great young men, and also other Division I athletes like Jesse Sapp went to Georgetown. Anthony McLean went to Cincinnati. All those guys had good pro careers. A few, a lot of other guys, that really enjoy working with. So, I try to school these guys on the game, man. They want to argue with me. It's cool. It's nice to have something to talk about, but
I mean,
you'll see.
It's fine. I mean, you can list off your credentials, but if you're wrong, you're wrong. That's all I'm saying.
They're not credentials. I mean, it just is what it is. I mean, this cool thing about, I'll just say this area. I don't know. They had that documentary In the Water.
Yeah.
And it is kind of interesting. Sometimes I think about it, like just in playing basketball in this area, you end up you end up teammates with like NBA players, I've really been on a high school team with like 3 different pros, probably like 10 different Division I athletes.
Right.
Now I'll go to like, other games and I'll be like, oh, we're the Division I players, and it's like, it's not really that normal to just see them out there on the court, but in Prince George's County, it kind of is. So that's pretty interesting place to grow up. Everybody can hoop.
Okay. Now, Tap, real quick, how come you didn't hoop? I would feel like, if he's hooping, you might get a little itch to hoop yourself.
I never. I don't know. I didn't have the dedication and love for it.
Okay.
I was always told when I was younger, so I was like playing like a center up until like I want to say 8th grade. So I never learned to dribble. And then everyone passes you by. I'm 5'10", 5'11". I'm a center out here, so yeah. I still got post moves, but what does it matter when someone 6'2" can just block it?
Yeah. It's funny because like I think we both grew pretty early, but we the same height since we were like 12.
Yeah.
Versus Trey. Trey was like, he grew like a foot when he was 18 or something. Yeah. Like literally, like all jokes aside, like 17, 18, he grew like a whole foot.
Awesome. Yeah, it was helpful. Very clutch.
Yeah, man.
Nah, I appreciate it. I appreciated it. But look, fellas, we about to get on into the show because Hekima, I'm glad you listed your credentials. But again, I did say, like, if you're wrong, you're wrong. So you stated that the Warriors are not, I repeat, the Warriors are not going to make it to the playoffs. Tep and I actually had some sense and said they are going to make it to the playoffs. Hakima, the floor is yours as to why you feel the Warriors will not make it.
All right, I like to keep it simple, man. Here we go. Andrew Wiggins, Kelly Oubre. I'm not gonna bet on any team where you're mainly relying on those guys. And I will say that, like, that's why we put money up. We made a wager. We could argue about the future events all day, but I just like to make wagers and see what happens. But I watched them, and I will say that when I made the bet, I underestimated them. Like, they are better than I thought. But I still think that you really only have Steph. You have Draymond to do his thing, but it's dependent on having other people that can actually finish. And when you're relying on Kelly Oubre and Andrew Wiggins, yeah, you're gonna win some games. Like, they don't seem to. I think they'll be at best they'll be like in that 8, 9, 10, 11 in that little slot right there. I think at best, like, I definitely don't think that you're going to see them like pull away and like coast to some 6 or 7 seed. But I'm sticking by my bet. It's not a huge bet. I'm a grown man. I can lose 25 to you, 25 to Tap. I'm a grown man. But I still stick by it. I'm confident with that bet. I'm looking forward to spending you all $50. And more importantly, I'm looking forward to helping you all understand, basketball. And that's what I'm here for.
I'm
still,
glad you said that.
I still don't think they're outside of those playing games for the playoffs. At best, they might get that 6th seed, but I think the main thing was you had some support for the Pelicans in there. I think that's why. Isn't that the bet that they have to finish better than the Pelicans?
Nah, they have to make it to the playoffs.
They just have to make it to the playoffs. Oh,
yeah.
No, that's easy money. I'll take that.
Exactly. Like, that's wild, bro.
Not betting.
Wait a minute. What did you think the bet was? And what's that? Maybe we made a different bet. So
I thought the Warriors had to finish better than the Pelicans. I thought you were saying the Pelicans would make the playoffs and the Warriors wouldn't.
No. I might have said that, but I don't think that was a bet.
That was the bet. Okay. All right. Yeah.
I was just trying to decide if you thought the betting terms were better for me, then maybe improve my betting position. So wait, the Warriors and the Pelicans have to make the playoffs for me to pay you, right?
Sorry there, champ.
All right.
Sorry there, champ. I'm just letting you know right now, when the postseason hits, you will see the playoff. You will see the Warriors in the 8th seed. I have them there slotted. They're currently the 7th. Denver's out of the playoffs, so I think they'll sneak into it. Steph's averaging 28, 6, and 6, and they have quality support. With that screams playoffs to me. And they're champions. Draymond, Steph, they know how to get to the playoffs. So I think that one's easy. Like, I appreciate.
And that's so right. So,
going.
Is that what?
So right now they're in the 7th spot, and they're in front of the Spurs, the Mavericks, the Nuggets.
Oh, the biggest threats are the Grizzlies, the Pelicans, the Spurs, and the Kings. Which I actually think the Grizzlies might be the toughest task this year, but they can beat them.
I think the Mavericks and the Nuggets will end up ahead of them. And at that 9, that they'll be looking at that 9-10 spot. So,
the Mavs will creep up to the 4th spot. The Mavs will creep up to the 4th spot. The Nuggets will go to the 7th. The Spurs will go bye-bye, and the Warriors will be the 8th spot.
All right, let's hold on.
That math is all. That you got one spot too many there, unless somebody else you talking about in the top 8 is dropping off.
No, they got playing games, so it's top 10.
So wait a minute. When we say playoffs, when we make this bet, are we talking 8 or are we talking 10?
can make it 8. I'm confident they'll be in that top 8.
Yeah, let's.
I heard playoffs.
And what you're saying? So you're saying 10?
I heard playoffs. So
Well, now in front of your audience, now your audience gets to see what type of confidence you have. Because are you willing to say?
My God, that helps you out because that helps you out. Let's say the Warriors are the 8th seed, play Memphis and lose. They're not in the playoffs anymore. I'm trying to help you out here, champ. But if you want to make it,
I don't need that. I appreciate that. I'll stand by. I'm willing to stand by it. I'm willing to stand by the 1 through 8. I don't care. I appreciate you trying to help me out. But you can also, we need to narrow it down.
So 1 through 8. So when the end of the season hits, the Warriors will be within 1 through 8.
Yep.
Cool. Got you. Look, I'm taking cash, no credit, no checks. Hey.
Yeah, man, that's fine, man. Yep.
Appreciate you. I appreciate you. Now, you've also said some other outlandish stuff. But you wanted to back out of this conversation, so I'm gonna go to Tep on this one. Tep, we're gonna talk about Tobias Harris, Tobias, some of them call him. What's your issue with him?
I just don't think I don't think he's a clutch performer. Like he shrinks. Like I've seen him shrink too many times when he's in the spotlight. He's been on multiple teams where he kind of wants to be the go-to guy, and he's not it.
So when you say go-to guy, like, are you saying? Because I don't think anybody's arguing he can be like he's the one option, but could he serve that Chris Middleton role? I think he potentially could.
I don't think he's nowhere near as good as Chris Middleton, and I think putting him in that situation is setting him up to fail. Chris Middleton's like efficiency or like your advanced stats guy. Like from mid range, doesn't miss. He picks and chooses his shots.
Right.
That being said, he's also not like a guy who I've seen step up in the clutch and finish. And Tobias Harris is worse than that.
So I don't think the original argument was the fact that he's whether he's clutch or not. I don't think we've ever said he was clutch. For me, I look at it like this: because you have Ben Simmons on the team currently, you don't need him to do as much as like Middleton might have to. Like Tobias Harris doesn't have to play make. All he has to do is defend a little bit and then average his like 19, 20 points. That's all he has to do. Oh, I'm sorry, 16 to 20 points. And that's doable. Like this year, actually, he's averaging, granted, I want more points from him, but I think he's averaging like 16 points and then like a block and a steal, if I'm not mistaken. So that's not bad.
Like I just look at
I know I'm not supposed to be in this conversation, but I just wanted to, because my point was, like, you're talking about 16 points for a guy making $30 million a year.
But you can also add 2 extra buckets, and that gets you in the 20 category now. So I mean, like, it's not
but that's
it's
average.
So
that's a lot. That's not just that's in one game, but
that's a made bucket and an extra trip to the free throw line.
So I think it's very easy to say he's not worth $30 million a year to a team that wants to win a title. Like if this was a team that just wanted to make the playoffs, have a good time, he's going to produce for you. But when games get tight, when you need someone who can score, there's no one on Philly who can do that. And he's making $30 million, so he needs to be able to do that. Even in the regular season, like when they're rolling, he's rolling. But when things get tight, he shrinks away. He can't get his own shot off. And especially against elite competition.
Yeah, so to me, that's the big deal. Can you get your own shot off? That's what separates everyone. That's the divide, the bright line test. Like, can I just give you the ball? Like Donovan Mitchell, you just give him the ball. Even Joe Ingles, you just give Joe Ingles, Bogdanovich, just give them the ball. But
there have been plenty of times though where Tobias Harris has actually been on an island and got a bucket. It's not like he's the best at that, but he can do that. You also have Joel Embiid, who's pretty dominant and an MVP candidate right now. You don't need Tobias Harris to do more than 16 to 20, maybe 22 points per game. And I'm only talking about the 22 points, like 20 to 22 points per game in the playoffs. You don't need Tobias Harris to be that guy. But an X factor where he gets you over the hump, he helps out Embiid and makes it a little bit easier because we know until Ben Simmons shoots, someone got to. And I don't think it, and I think it's easier to stop Seth Curry than it is Tobias Harris. Like that's just me personally. Tobias 6'9". Yes, Seth Curry can be a little crafty, but if you put an athletic guard on him, it might cause some problems. And I've seen that all throughout his career. So
Yeah, but Steph Curry is different because you run him around like JJ Redick. Like you don't have to you have to chase him around. You don't have to chase Tobias Harris around.
And he's only making $7 million a year. You know,
Yeah, so
if we're basing it on their contract, agreed, Tobias Harris is being overpaid, but we're talking about as a talent, like not his contract. Again, like he's overpaid, we know that, but y'all are being disrespectful, saying he's not an X factor, or like he can't, or he shouldn't
yeah. If
be
he
of any value. Like
plays like he's never played before in the past, then yes, they're a contender. But if you're staking any of their championship on him helping them beat a better team in the playoffs, it's just not going to happen. Like when you're matching up against the Nets, the Bucks, the Celtics,
mm,
even the Pacers, he's not helpful in winning those games. Like there's just
even against the
to me,
Pacers.
Like the regular season games, it's easy to win these regular season games, man. You get to play the Bulls, the Wizards. You know, they don't matter as much as like, you know, the when you get into the playoffs and it's like how well constructed is your team.
Mm.
Sixers, like Ben Simmons is a problem. Tobias Harris, and by a problem, I mean a problem for them to go to advance. You know, some like if you had Jimmy Butler instead of Tobias Harris,
Jimmy would be a better option.
Contender.
Jimmy
Yeah,
would be a
but
much better option.
Yep.
Like
we know Jimmy's an all-star.
Like you can't run Simmons and Tobias Harris at the pick and roll, and it's not an effective play. Mainly because Simmons doesn't shoot. Also because Tobias Harris isn't that reliable. Like
I disagree. You can do a pick and pop game with Tobias, and whereas Tobias is the 4-man.
With a bunch of shots.
I can see it. I mean, I'm sure that's some decent action. I could see some but I will admit, like, I could see that being like they probably have the same kind of guy checking them, you know. So what's the point in running a pick and pop with them, you know?
Like, they might, but Ben also.
Switch.
But what if Ben's also guarding like a point guard or something like that?
Yeah. Well, no, we're talking about them on offense.
I mean, like, what if like someone's trying to go? Well, that's. What if he has someone?
Well, yeah, you're right.
No,
you're right though. You're right. He's got a point guard on him. Then it's a big small thing, but you know, yeah.
But I also think too that they're gonna. Tobias is playing more off of Embiid. Like Embiid's going to be dominating, and that's why I'm saying Tobias is going to be that X factor. Because right now Embiid's been hooping. So as long as that continues, all you need is 4 to 6 extra points. Which again, I understand that's a lot. Like that's a lot to ask. But for me, when I say 4 points, that's an extra trip to the free throw line and an extra made bucket. Which, if we're paying you $30 million or we're paying you millions of dollars, and you've proven to be an all-star before, I don't think 4 extra points should be that tough. It's the same case that I've made for Draymond Green when I say he should make 5 more points at least. Like I think the same thing can be said for Tobias Harris. He has that capability, and he's done so over on the Clippers as well.
He doesn't create or defend as well as Draymond Green.
I'm not saying he's like Draymond. I'm saying that the points, like they both can average more points. That was my point.
And if Tobias,
I mean, they probably average as much as they think they can, unless it's like, oh, you're gonna like they have to say you're gonna get more shots. Like we want you to average 5 more points, so we're gonna design the offense for you to get 7 more shots. No,
I mean you can squeeze 2 more shots somewhere. Like Hakeem, from your vantage point as a player, is like Because you got to know he's like a top tier option on that team. Would he be able to get
to do what? That's the question.
To score. He's their second leading scorer. He's their second
option
leading scorer.
Run the play. Who are you talking about? Draymond. We're talking about Draymond, right?
No, Tobias Harris.
Okay. Yeah. He's probably the second scoring option. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess.
But he doesn't create his own shots. So how can you say? Because to get 5 more points, that's not just 2 shots.
But to tell me, that's
another 6 shots.
So to get 2 points is another 6 shots.
To get, I would say.
I mean, 4 points to
get 2 points. I would say is another 2 to 3 shots. I mean, 50% is great, right? And then you got to imagine like you're not always going to be shooting 50%.
What if you factor in trying to get to the free throw line?
What'd you say?
What if you factor in trying to get to the free throw line? Like if you talk about like him being more aggressive on stuff to try to draw, to try to get to the free throw line more.
That would be a massive change in his game at this point in his career.
It would be a what?
A massive change in the way he plays basketball.
Yeah.
For him to start getting to the line more frequently.
I mean, you
can tell him him drive more, But what if he shoots floaters, and I mean,
what if he loses the ball? What happens when he drives more? Like, what if those just become turnovers because that's not something he's really good at?
I feel like it wouldn't just always be turnovers though.
But that's why I said. But that's why I said it's not like you have to design it so that he gets 5 to 7 more opportunities. Maybe it's not shots, but just opportunities, and be built in. If you want to say you have to score more,
Okay. If you have to take 7 opportunities away from somebody to do that, then I might understand why that would be a little bit difficult. I guess I was thinking more like. On a team, you're going to have to change up your game a little bit to make it work. Like, I feel like that's just how teams have to be. Like, especially if you're not that go-to guy, you're going to have to compromise somehow, some way. So, Clay had to change up his game.
They would say, like, I keep going back to the Warriors or whatever, maybe, or whatever, since we're talking about the Sixers. Like, they would say, all right, we're not going to run this play for, Seth Curry as much. So, can start giving Tobias more looks, So like you said, I'm sure they do that all the time,
Yeah, that's real.
What matchup?
But that's real. Now, getting a little bit away from the 76ers here, let's focus on the Nets because they have been trending. I don't want to talk about our takes on if they're going to be successful or anything like that. Who are their biggest threats in the NBA?
We're just talking bad matchups.
Whoever you consider are their biggest threats. So, like for example, for me, I said the Lakers, Clippers, 76ers, and Heat. I wanted to throw the Bucks in there. And I'm on the fence about that, but those are my biggest threats to the Nets so far, and that's just because they have like dominating big men who can also pass and they have skill. Whereas like Giannis, he has skill, but like it's not really what I want. I feel like he's still going to falter in the playoffs again. So that's why I say I have him on the fence. So like, who would be your biggest threat to the Nets?
Yeah, I would say 76ers and the Heat. I wouldn't put the Bucks in there. Well, so that's this in the East. And then in the West, I would probably say the Lakers just because I can't really see anybody beating the Lakers. I'm not really a believer in the Clippers anymore. I was on the bandwagon last year. I'm just going to watch from a distance. So the Sixers, I think they can slow the game down with Embiid. Believer in Doc Rivers, I mean, even just seeing what he's doing with the Sixers so far,
right?
I think he always is. He's a great strategist. So I think that they have they have what the Nets don't have. You know, they have a solid post player. The Nets really need to pick up another quality big. I mean, losing Jared Allen was huge. You know, so they need someone because DeAndre Jordan will get in foul trouble. And you know, either way, he can't play the whole game, and he can't. I don't think he can guard Embiid anyway. So I think the Sixers, the Heat. I haven't watched them much this year. I wouldn't bet against the Heat. You know, so I got to throw them in there.
Heat have had a lot of health problems this year, so it's tough to actually find their games. So
the way things are going, they could be an eighth seed.
Yeah, that could be a first matchup.
That would be weird. That would be weird. But you said something about DeAndre not being able to guard Embiid. I think he can in stints, just not for the whole game. And like I know, like on my last video, I actually stated a couple of players that like I think he should, like the Nets should actually pick up because you don't need. I don't think you need an elite type big man. You don't need some overly good big man. You just need a decent mobile big man, and like someone like a Dwayne Dedman, I think comes to mind. Like or even like, although him as a talent, and I'm talking about a different person, just like Scala BCR. Although him as a talent, I might not like overly much. Like as a player, like I think he does fit. He's 6'11". He can stretch the floor. You can bring that in there and keep him in rotation.
I think he's the type of guy that Embiid just plows through. 30 points on.
Yeah,
well,
I think Dedman.
You also have a zone though.
I like Dedman. I feel like Scal, like the guy shouldn't be complete barbecue chicken. I feel like that's how the BCR is, man. Like he just work down there.
Scal's gonna help on the offense.
They just need bodies. He needs big bodies.
Exactly.
Aaron Baines, he's fallen out of favor in Toronto, but I feel like Brooklyn would be a great situation for him.
Yeah.
I feel like was Baines putting in work against Embiid when they played?
Yeah,
he did okay because he could keep around, you know.
Right.
Well, that's the BCS problem. Under that basket.
With Embiid, you just gotta tire him out. So, like, if you're pushing and fighting with him all game long, especially over like a 7-game series, once he loses his legs, especially towards the end of the game, like he's not much of a threat. So, like, big guys that can push him around. I think that's the key for any team that's trying to beat the 76ers.
Yeah, I'm also trying to force Ben Simmons to shoot too. So like I might run a zone, try to force the ball out of Embiid's hands and then back into Simmons' hands, make sure he's on the perimeter somehow. Like just watch out for that cutting because Embiid's tough. So I mean, that's what I'm thinking. I think I don't think the Nets are going to be as vulnerable as people think. I think they need to use that zone, especially since their offense is it's at an elite level. Like they're going to be high energy players, so it's going to be tricky. It's going to be tricky, but they definitely need some depth at the big man position. Yep, you guys say something?
Oh no. Just I've had the same threats. I'm not too high on Miami unless they come back at some point. I know I speak a lot of. I'm pretty high on Indiana, but I think they're a horrible matchup against the Nets. Pretty high on them. I think they're a horrible matchup against the Nets. I think they're a great matchup against the Sixers. I don't think the Sixers win. If they meet the Sixers in the playoffs, I think they walk out of that with a win, with W.
Who, the 76ers or the Nets?
The Pacers.
I mean the Pacers.
Pacers. I think they're a horrible matchup for the Nets, and I don't want to see that because that sounds like a sweep. But yeah, I am high on the Clippers. They look good. They look better this year than they did last year. So
I'm still not as. I was more sold last year, but I still think they are a threat. I don't have the faith in PG. I don't have the faith in PG.
He looks healthy. Like last year, he did not look healthy. I don't know if he'll stay healthy. Like that's always what I don't know. That's what I always come back to with him. He's always getting hurt, and it shows. Like he just disappears. Bro. He has a game based on his athleticism. So when he's hurt, it really doesn't matter.
True. All right, so Akima, real quick, 'cause I feel like you actually are the shakiest on this part in regards to Kyrie. Do you trust him?
Man, we talk and then you get new information, man. I'm a man, so I have to adjust to the information that comes out. And that was I said that was before his press conference, and I always find him to be kind of a peculiar individual, but and I'm talking about the one where he's kind of like leaning on the thing,
Yeah.
is what it is. But you have to be sensitive to what people have going on in their lives. So I kind of try to trying to reserve judgment. I would if I had. Oh, I do stick with what I was saying. With if I had James Harden and Kevin Durant, I might go ahead and trade Kyrie, and and go for a dynasty. See how many chips I can win, because one thing you do know is, as great as Kyrie is, something's gonna happen. Like within the next between now and the end of the year, something's gonna happen, and I don't wish that on him. But I mean, if you're in the business and you have an opportunity like Kevin Durant and James Harden, you kind of have to go for broke, I think. And and I mean, I feel like that, and they're making millions of dollars. Like everybody's winning here. Just like the Wizards and Bradley Beal. You look at these individuals that are getting paid $1 million to be kind of treated like an asset. I places with them in a second. So I'm not going to play a violin for them. Like if you can, someone becomes a situation where their asset nature would benefit the franchise, you should probably do what's best. Because I don't know, they have some defensive deficiencies out there, at a minimum, and then you still have the issue of like, how are they really going to play together when you like, yeah, they had a great game. I mean, against Cleveland, they did lose, but I mean, they seem to play pretty well together. But you have to look at 20, 30 games to see how well it goes.
Right. What's your thoughts about it?
Yeah, I still don't think Kyrie adds anything to this team that James Harden doesn't do better. So I'd be looking to move him. Like, I always felt that the trade was to try and get Kyrie in that James Harden trade and hold on to some of their younger guys. Mainly just Jared Allen. That was the only person I really felt they needed to hold on to. But yeah, they need another big. They need some more wing depth. Jeff Green can't play 40 minutes a night for the rest of the season. Uh, I don't know. Kyrie, I've always felt plays more like a two guard, and James Harden pretty much does everything that a point guard does, while doing everything that a two guard does. And they have Joe Harris there, and I don't see what Kyrie adds to any of that.
So Kyrie adds that extra punch. Like, let's say, for example, Harden gets into foul trouble or he's not clicking, which we've seen that occur. Well, we've seen Kyrie get buckets. Like, and you also said it, Kyrie as a two guard. I'd rather have Kyrie as a two guard than Joe Harris. You can also have Joe Harris on the floor. Now, what do? You have KD, Joe Harris, Kyrie, and James Harden with the ball. That's much better than the Rockets, and he caused havoc in the league on the Rockets. So with that lineup there, yeah, you could add a defender, and I do understand why you'd want to trade Kyrie. I prefer seeing how this works out, at least right now. If Kyrie is a problem off the court, all right, cool. I'm looking to move him this year. If not, I low key want to see how this works because these are three talented players, and I think with the right defensive scheme, you can allow them to be in the zone, cause some havoc a little bit the way the Heat did, and even the Celtics, and you still get the offensive potency that they displayed thus far.
I think there are too many teams that Kyrie ends up being a liability against. Like, I don't think they win that game versus the Bucks the other night with Kyrie on the floor, as opposed to even Jeff Green when he was on the floor.
I mean, they need to bring more people in. Like, yeah, but I think you can bring some free agents in to kind of like the way, like, to kind of look like how the Heat did it, where even though theirs was done in the off season, you can still bring like some free agents in and kind of try to make something work out.
You look at like the Heat though; their big three were all elite defenders. Like
Chris Bosh was an elite defender.
Yeah, Chris Bosh is elite.
Yeah, hands down.
He's elite. He's elite rim protector.
Yeah. You mean like
and he can move his feet? So Chris Bosh is a great player, man.
while he was in Toronto, he was an elite defender.
Yes, he was.
Well, but even if he wasn't, I mean, like in Miami, he was playing a different role. Like in Toronto, he was a go-to guy. In Miami, he was a knockdown. He was a stretch four and a rim protector.
So his first year, I just remember he was knocked a lot.
With Andre Bargnani, who may be the biggest negative at the four position that's ever played the game, and they still have positive defense with Chris Bosh on the floor. So
I'm not saying Chris Bosh was trash, but elite is a bit of a stretch there.
No, he was the elite. He's an elite athlete. Like Chris, he's not a great offensive player just because he's like super skilled. Like he's a great athlete. He's elbow at the rim type guy. So
and
Andrew Wiggins that easy to just finish on.
Andrew Wiggins is an elite level athlete. Is he an elite defender?
Andrew Wiggins is not as good as Chris Bosh.
But you just said based on his athleticism that makes him an elite level defender, right? Like that doesn't
effort and the knowledge of where to be and what to do. So high IQ, great effort all the time, high motor.
This guy loves Tobias Harris, but doesn't think Chris Bosh is good.
Whoa, I say he's not an elite
haters
level.
Gonna hate me now.
I say he wasn't an elite level defender. On the Heat, he was fine. Not initially, but he eventually got better. Similar to Pau Gasol. Like that's the same thing. So,
well, I brought up his athleticism because like all they had to do was say like, "Hey, your role is different now. Like, be a dog on defense. You're not going to get the ball as much," and that's what he did. Like, do you not think Chris Bosh is going to be a Hall of Famer?
No, he's a Hall of Fame player, but say he's an elite defender.
Yeah, that's what he's going to be in the Hall of Fame for, being like for his role in the Miami Big Three. He's not going to be in the Hall of Fame for the few years in Toronto he killed. No, he had quality years in Miami,
So an elite defender does the following. All right, because they went to the finals, 4 back-to-back years. So that's cool. That's cool. But an elite defender averages 0.2 and 0.5 steals and blocks in the finals, or 0.6 and 1.2 in the finals. He
changed a lot of shots. Where does it count how many shots you changed? And you're not talking about his rebounds either.
Right.
If you're back there changing shots and getting double-digit rebounds.
So he didn't get double-digit rebounds. Actually, Braun was out-rebounding him. So he.
How many rebounds did he average? Like 7?
He was in between like 7 to 9. I know 7 to 8.
So you're looking at a guy
realistically
before he hit his prime was averaging double-digit rebounds because of the situation he's in Miami.
Right.
Drops down because he's playing with two of the best rebounders at their position to ever play the game.
Right. But I didn't mention rebounders. Like you're talking to Hekima on this one. I mentioned steals.
See, I said double digits, but I'm saying even 7. Like I don't know. I don't know statistically. He's not going to be great, but I just know in watching those games, like he was a factor. Like it was always he's an elite defender. He changes shots. He's their rim protector.
Before he got to Miami, he was an elite player on both sides of the ball. So the fact that he was able to say, "Hey, I'm going to not perform at the same level, not even perform. I'm not going to rack up the same stats that I was racking up when I was on a team by myself because I'm playing with two of the best players to ever play the game." That's like, how are we going to fault him for that? Like, he didn't lose his elite level of play or his elite production just because he's playing with two people that are far more productive.
Tep, answer me this question. If Chris Bosh is so elite on the defensive end, how come he's not on any defensive team? Like at all? whatsoever. Answer me that.
Because there are better defenders than him. That doesn't just
but is he good or is he elite? Ben Wallace was what? Elite. Like we know that he was on the defensive teams. Elite. Like
was an absolute monster.
But when you say elite, that's what my mind goes to. You're talking about good. Like, okay, fine. Chris Bosh was cool on the defensive end. I liked him as a player. Was he mobile? Yes, he was. But he was still he's a quality defender, but not an elite defender.
That's year in and year out. Just in the East, he was up against Joakim Noah, Al Horford, Ben Wallace, and those three alone are going to kick you off the all defensive team.
So should we make
if you're down there changing shots and you can switch off and check guards in a pick and roll, like you're kind of an elite defender. Like just because you're not thought of like Ben Wallace, like how elite can like how many different things can you really do on defense? You know, I mean, I don't know. I don't see why we can say he's elite. He's not elite just because he's not thought of like Ben Wallace.
When I think of elite, I think of you are dominating. You are like if we're gonna say he's an elite defender, he has to be on the all defensive team at some point in time in his career, and he's not. He didn't get one. Like you can't get one.
Yeah, he's not gonna make an all defensive team if he's making all NBA teams. Like for his role on his team,
he made one all NBA team. Tap. What are you talking about? He only made one.
That surprised me.
That was 2006, 2007. He's been a nice all-star though, 11 times. But
well, you have a different definition of elite defender than me. I just someone who like is always changing shots and someone who can still guard a guard. Like Kevin Love is not an elite defender to me, even though he can like guard a guard every now and then.
Kevin Love was never known as a defender though.
No, I'm not. I'm just trying to like show you the bar. Like, you know.
But that's set so low to call it elite. Like,
no, I'm just saying because Kevin Love is someone who can guard a guard and has gotten credit for like when he switched off on Steph Curry and was able to stay in front of him. And then I'm saying like he's not what I would consider an elite. Like Kenyon Martin to me is an elite defender. You know,
now you talking. Now you
like
talking.
all NBA teams he made. You know, but I'm just saying, like some athletic guy who can contest shots and stop a guard every now and then. You know, like Joakim Noah was an elite defender, and I mean, I don't know how many all defensive team these guys made, but you know, Paul Gasol at his peak, you know, like he could check guards and contest shots. You know, Dwight Howard, you know, but.
I mean, Dwight Howard is Defensive Player of the Year. So is Joakim Noah. And Joakim Noah is also on the all-defensive team. You did bring up an interesting point about Kenyon Martin. He was a good defender. I never thought he was, like, elite. I just thought he was a good defender. But, like, him and Chris Bosh, I might even there was like 1 year where I'm like, all right, Chris Bosh is like a legit defender because he was putting up about like 1.9 blocks, 1.6 steals, and I'm talking. This is the finals. This is crunch time. So for me, all right, cool. You're at that level maybe right now, but to say he's an elite level defender, especially in the Toronto days, nah, like I can't even call that. Like he was a good all-star. He was a good all-star to me.
Yeah, no, that's what I said. Like he shifted, but he's a super athlete, so it's not that big of a deal for them to say, like, hey, now you're not going to get as many touches, so we need you to put that effort elsewhere.
I mean, yeah, he definitely
won championships, and it's not like they cakewalked the championship. So if he would have done that, who's to say they even would have won the two before that they won? You know.
Yeah, no, he gets credit for the wins. Don't get me wrong. Like his defensive effort was solid. It was only though those 2 years. Like he didn't really do anything that first year, and then that fourth year, you know, he was just average. Like it's cool, but that's fine. We all have different levels of different definitions of elite. I hold my people to higher standards, and y'all just give them out to anybody who's anybody. It's cool.
Yeah, you hold them to standards you can look up on Wikipedia.
Yeah,
No, that's called their stats. Like,
yeah.
I watched this dude play. I've seen him be in a backcourt where Chris Boshani is just matadoring all game long, and he's getting consistent stops against elite teams during his era. Like he was good he was great on defense.
Yeah, man, and like I think it's different because like when you used to watch the games before, like, and then, basketball is different now. Like, but when you used to get in the finals, it would be Duncan, Shaq, you know what I mean? Like, and whoever big guys at East were throwing up, back at that point. But when you get to the finals, it's like guys aren't even getting layups off because every time you go to the basket, you got some guy like Tim Duncan or then it was Chris Bosh or Hakeem Olajuwon or whoever, and you're not even getting layups in. So that's why we look at it and we say, oh, this is the championship round. These are the elite big men, And Tristan Thompson was like that. I know it sounds weird, He's not elite by any standard, but like in his run, like the Cleveland Cavaliers run, he was a great big man. You couldn't keep him off the offensive glass. So you're right. These aren't going to go down in the annals of history as elite big men, but maybe it's just elite big men play.
So are you saying? So are you trying to say for that one instance in their career that's going to usurp the entirety of their career, like that whether it's 2 seasons, 3 seasons?
No, the exact opposite.
Overshadow.
I'm saying I watched Chris Bosh play elite defense for years while being the number one scoring option on some sometimes okay, sometimes trash team, but still doing his job on D at a very high level.
Against the second unit in Toronto, because remember Toronto was also getting blown out a lot, so they were usually playing the bench teams. But you're saying he's playing.
That's hating right there.
That's not hating. Like my man, he wasn't that. He had.
That's a straight stretch. He started the game, so he
started the game.
Blown out. A lot of his points probably came off.
If he started,
and I'm not even going to look this up, but I can tell you only 2 of those teams didn't go to the playoffs, so they're not getting blown out a lot. So
getting blown out a good amount of times, champ. Like they weren't the best team. Like the Raptors,
but
not.
It's the NBA, so even if you're blowing out, the starters are still playing their normal 30 minutes because they got to get their numbers right.
Not all the time. Not all the time.
Most of the time,
really.
Yeah, no.
Guys don't just say, "Oh no, I'm cool getting 12 tonight," because we're
12 minutes.
Yo, Bradley Beal's averaging 35 in weekly blowouts. So
yeah, man.
He said, "I'm getting these 24 minutes, and I'm getting these 37 shots, no matter what."
Yeah, these are contract negotiations. Man. I can't have 12 tonight, coach. I know we're at 20.
He said 30. Like Hakima said 30, and 20 to 24 shots is a little bit different. Like you're giving up, like you coming out in the third quarter, basically, especially if it's during the blowout. So that's actually doable. But again, like Chris Bosh, elite defender.
On those Miami Heat, all I'm saying is on those Miami Heat teams, he was an elite defender.
But Imhotep saying for his entire career he's an elite defender. Like that's not. That's not accurate. I don't know what you're sipping on over there, but get you some water, detox it out, come back, and we can we can do this
properly. Podcast. That's what I'm talking about.
Sep, it seems like you are a little more adamant about this topic. So LeBron and passing the torch, right? And when I say passing the torch, meaning he's no longer going to be the best player. He wants somebody else to be that guy. How do you feel about that when he says he's trying to do that?
I heard him say it, and then I've seen with his actions, it was a load of crap. That's just not where he is right now. He wants another ring, or he wants to win more games. I thought he'd chill out during the off season because he just stopped playing 2 months ago. But nah, he's going full throttle right now. looking like an MVP candidate. I don't know if y'all know, I've been a LeBron hater for most of my life. So, like, props where props are due. He looks amazing right now. Looks absolutely amazing. It actually makes me sad inside, but yeah, he's not handing anything over. And I don't think anyone. I think AD has to step up and demand to be the number one guy for LeBron to concede anything. And he keeps. I don't know. AD seems to be floating and disappearing to me way too often.
He looks depressed out there, man.
Yeah.
Are you done?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he looks depressed. He looks like someone who's been lied to, you know. Like he looks like he's someone who's been told that, like, I'm gonna hand over the keys to you, and then I have a feeling that, like, LeBron didn't even tell him. Rich Paul told him, like, yeah, man, it's he's trying to get MVP this year. I know, man. I know. I tried to tell him that, like, we promised AD that we were gonna hand the keys over. I know we told him before the playoffs. And, you know, I told him, AD, that you're going to feel like we just manipulated you to get you the ball out in the playoffs, for you to get LeBron another ring, you know. But I think LeBron is like, and then, because I think he's a great human being. I think he does a lot of wonderful things, but he's like a Machiavellian dude, man. And I just want him to hoop, man. I just want my hoopers to hoop, you know, like he's because I think he said all that stuff and he's not passing any torch. You know, and I was like, before I was saying, like, man, I'd be really surprised that LeBron would do this, because, like, why would he want to? Because he obviously wants to catch Jordan with the 6 rings, like,
right.
you know, so he's got 2 left, but he can't catch Jordan if AD gets Finals MVP.
Exactly.
No, you can't have that. And it's like, well, if I'm going to be Finals MVP, I might as well try to get some more regular season MVPs, because it's easy for him. I mean,
yeah,
he's bigger, he's stronger, he's faster than everybody, you know. So there's no torch being passed, and AD is in a sunken place, and he's just gonna hold off, wait till, you know, it all work out, man. He'll end up with 4 rings, and then he'll be like Kobe post Shaq, you know, trying to get those 2 rings and take the credit for all the rings LeBron, you know, the other 4 rings LeBron got. So
I don't think they're gonna get that many rings, champ. Like last year's low key could have been the only one. Like I personally think the Nets are going to win, but I don't think that LeBron's going to pass the torch, and I think he should actually. Like he's older, and you want to preserve your energy, you know. So I think AD's putting up good stats. He even made a comment. Like AD even made a comment that like he sucks right now. So like, he just got to get back in the flow of things, even though he's putting up like quality stats here. But again, even he acknowledged like he has to do better himself. So I think AD is going to outperform him low key. Just because you also got the defensive factor as well. So I think when you factor that into like I don't think he might like Braun might win MVP, but I think AD in terms of impact and stats, I low key think AD has more of an impact than Braun does. Like because Braun's defense isn't as good as it was last year. So I mean, like he does his stuff, I guess, in spurts still, which I understand, again, because your age, but and the teammates that you brought in, but you still trying to be that superstar. You still trying to be that guy. You still trying to go up against Michael Jordan. His
yeah,
defensive stats were a little bit better. So if you're trying to be compared to the GOAT, you know, like you gotta step it up a little bit. So, but I don't think he's gonna pass the torch over.
But yeah, man, they're all trying to be the greatest player ever. You know what I mean? Like AD is not trying to just leave the game and like, yeah, I was a part of LeBron, blah blah blah. You know, and
right.
LeBron knows that, so he's just like, whatever he says, he's just using AD to his like, to you know, to his end. You know, I guess you gotta respect it, but
yeah, I don't know, but this sounds like we all agree. Braun's selfish as hell. It's cool.
yeah,
It's cool.
I would be too. You know, hey, that's how you get to a Billy. Nobody got to $1 billion. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, look, I thank y'all for coming on to the show. Appreciate it. Do you guys have anything else you want to say before we close up?
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Just hit the like and the subscribe button below. Forget about
the
podcast.
They see that in the outro.
Yeah. And now you hear it twice. I'm gonna have my own podcast, so put your email address below.
How that work?
Hey, let me know. It took him a while to get him on the actual show, low key, so it's cool.
Yeah, man. I'm on a lot of podcasts, baby. So don't cut this part out. I get cut out of a lot of podcasts. But I've been cut out of better podcasts than this.
So, yeah, hey, real quick, do you want to tell the story about you and KD and them, or nah?
Oh, no, it's not. I don't really want to tell them. No thanks. Yeah, this Slim Reaper. I don't want him coming for me on social media. Get a new Facebook page.
And look. Breaking news: Kevin Durant denies Howard University.
He denied Benoni or some shit like that, man. It's just a Wednesday to him. To me, it's fucking the worst day of my adult life.
Hey,
yeah, I don't know that dude, man. I have no way getting.
Hekima, you could start your podcast right then and there. You get some mean traction. I'm just saying. Like
it's
might
gonna be
podcast.
This. Well, I'm not gonna. Yeah, never mind.
All right, everybody.
Funny. All right, man. You have a good night. Stay safe, man. Wear your mask.
Definitely.
That's the catchphrase on my podcast. It's a wear your mask podcast, baby. Yeah, we like it raw.
On that note, see y'all later.
Oh, I did not know you guys were still here. As you can see, we're at the back end of the show. No pun intended, but look, hope you all enjoyed it. And before you go, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow the IG account, share the content to anybody who's anybody. And most importantly, leave your thoughts and comments below. But I gotta go back and play Buddy in 2K, so let me unmute him real quick. Excuse me. Hey, boss, I'm back. Nah, you better catch this word. You know we get buckets around here, kid.